Hello everyone and welcome back to New Creations Counseling. In today's video, I will be sharing and also teaching a little bit about a subject that is very important to me as a counselor and also as just a regular person. Something that has helped me so much, even in my own personal life, as much as it has helped me with my family and my spouse, and also with my counselees. This is one of the things that has helped me to become a more effective counselor because understanding human behavior has changed everything in counseling for me. And let me break it down. I have 3 building blocks that I like to work with, which are your temperament, your character, and your personality. Let's attack them right now. So what is your temperament? Your temperament is your God-given self. This is your core. This is who you are. This is how God created you to be. There is no other me. There is no other you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. No one can be you as much as they try. Let's just give an example as your fingerprints. No one in this world can have your same fingerprints. So is your temperament. Yes, you may have the same temperament as other people, but we are so unique that we have tendencies and traits that no one else may have. So this is what your temperament is. And I'll give you a quick example. If you have multiple children, or even if you know people with children and you've noticed that since they're infants, if you put them down in the crib and they are fed and they are clean, they sleep all day, they just lay there, they don't bother, they don't cry unless they need to be fed or they need to be changed. There are other children that are constantly crying because they need to be held. They need attention. They need you speaking to them, and they need to be engaging with other people. There are this you may notice it a lot in toddlers, how, oh my God, my kid goes to everyone. They say hi to everyone. They hold conversations with any stranger. And how can I make them stop? And no matter how much you tell them not to speak to stranger, it's just almost impossible for them not to do those things. And then you have the kids that they don't go with anyone. They only with mommy, daddy, people they know, a small circle of people, and they're very introverted. So this is your temperament. You can tell of a person's temperament as young as an infant. Why? Because they were created that way. Okay, that's number 1 is your temperament. A second building block that I love to work with, and this is one of the building blocks that I attack at first, is your character. When I'm dealing with someone that is struggling with low self-esteem, with depression, with anxiety, I automatically trigger that one part of your character. What is your character? Your character is your learned behavior, how you were brought up, how was your belief system, were you neglected when you were little, have you been affected by abandonment, have you been mistreated or abused, whether it's sexually abused, verbal abuse, physical abuse, any kind of abuse. You learn behaviors to be able to cope with certain situations. So this is one of the things that you need to get rid of before you even get to develop your temperament. It's very important for you to know what learned behavior is. How do we start tearing down walls of learned behavior? How do we start building trust? Right? Most of the times when we have learned behaviors of not trusting people is because our trust has been broken. So for some of us, it's very, very hard to trust people again if they've had triggers that, or red flags, for lack of better words, that may give you the thought of, no, I've seen this before, I can't trust this person. And sometimes you might miss out on relationships or even friendships because of these learned behaviors, right? Or you saw your parents go through a situation and now you're living your life based on what you've learned. So this is your character. Now, one of the funniest things is our mask. Right? What is our mask? Our personality. Our personality adapts to every single thing that we go through day by day. Our personality is, and I call it a mask, not in a bad way, because it's like if you have to be something different everywhere you go. Why? Because by nature, we adapt to our environment. So if we go to the park, we usually wear sneakers, and we wear sporting clothes. If you go to a wedding, you want to wear a gown. If you're at the office, you answer your phone in a certain manner. If you're with your friends or your family, you even change your tone or your speech. So this is your personality. This is when you are adapting to every single part of your day, whether it's your work or is with your family, or is just your alone time. So these are the 3 building blocks that you will hear me speak on in majority of my videos, because it has made such an impact and a difference through counseling with people. I've seen tremendous change when people are actually learning about these 3 different building blocks. And you can see the growth in everyone. Now, when you talk about temperaments, because this is the thing that I want to focus on today, and I want to explain this one thing that is mind-blowing, because when I learned this for myself, it changed so many things. It changed so many perspectives about just the way I carried myself and how I did things. So I had to understand that I am a spirit that lives in a body, and I have a soul, right? So what is my spirit? My spirit is my temperament. My spirit is who I am. What is my physical? My physical body is this body that you see, the body that everyone has. And what is my soul? My soul are all my emotions. This is my mind, how I process things, how I process trauma, how I process every single thing that happens to me. So we have a mind, we have a soul, and we have a body. Now, understanding that having a balance in our lives is so vital. If you don't drink water, if you don't eat, if you don't exercise, your physical body starts to lack. You either start becoming sick, you start, your hair starts to fall off if you're not, even if you're not sleeping well or eating or drinking enough water, you can feel it in your body. You start getting sick of all these things, or, majority of the people that are experiencing illness is because they're not taking care of their body. Now, how do you take care of your soul, your mind? How do you feed your mind? You socialize. You may read a book. You have, you have that intellectual part of your being. You have your emotions. You have love. You have attention. You have care. You have all these things that are feeding your soul, your emotions. This is how you feel. And I can never say this enough. Feelings are so important. Feelings is that one signal that is telling your body that something is right or something is wrong. So never ignore your feelings. Never ignore your emotions, because it is your emotions that are letting you know that something's happening in your life. That was just a side note. Now, how do you feed your spirit? Whether it's through prayer, meditation, reading a motivational something that is going to motivate your spirit to do something better, watching something that is feeding you positivity, something that is feeding you faith, something that is feeding you something other than fear. I mean, we see enough fear out there. Why would you constantly want to feed your spirit something that is just going to oppress you? And this is where the depression comes from. This is where the oppression comes from. This is where the anxiety starts to happen. Why? Because you're not balancing those 3 things of your being, not only your inner being, but also your outer, your body. So I really encourage you to pay very, very close attention to these 3 parts of your being, because this is the only body you get to have. You're not going to have another body. Take care of your body, take care of your emotions, take care of your spirit, because your spirit is going to dictate everything else that you see manifesting in the outside. Another thing that I want to talk about also is the actions and the reactions. I teach this through your temperaments because we all have actions and reactions. And I'll give you a quick example, so don't lose me in the process of this. When I am working and I see that my boss spoke to me in a certain way, I have a choice to my reaction and my action. So my first reaction is, I want to say what I want to say and I'm quitting my job. but my action will be logical. My reaction will process through my brain, and then my action will take place. What's my actions? Avoid confrontation. Maybe talk and set up a meeting when my feelings are not in the way, because we can constantly react in such a harmful way that we could always make things worse. And this is one thing that I teach all my counselees, to have emotional intelligence. Super important, not only in the work field, but also in your friendships and your relationships. I've worked with big companies that are training their leaders to become emotional intelligent, because when you process your feelings through that little brain, everything changes. Nothing is the same. Why? Because now it's not a reaction, it's an action that you're taking. So through all your through your temperament, you will learn all these things as you go. Another thing that, as we spoke about your personality, your character, and your temperament, we also spoke about your physical, your spiritual, and your emotional. Now, we also have 3 very important areas in our temperament, which are your social life, your interaction. Okay, now we have our control. How are we taking care of the decision making? Do I make my decisions? Do I allow other people to make decisions for me? And you can see this through your temperaments. You will see that you have also a lot of tendencies that might be weaknesses or strengths. And you can learn all this to just taking a 60-question test and defining yourself and knowing what kind of temperament you have. You also have your emotional part, right? When you are dealing with your emotional part, you want to know how you like to love and how you like to receive love. This is something that is very important. I use this a lot with my couples when I'm working with couples, and you see that they are not understanding each other, is because either their love language is not being understood, or their temperament are totally opposite in their emotional area. Now, we have 5 different temperaments. We have the melancholy, we have the choleric, we have the supine, we have the sanguine, and we have a phlegmatic. So once you find out what your temperament is, and this is so amazing. This is one of the parts that I love the most when I found my own temperament, was that I was a blended temperament. And I never understood why I am such an introvert in my decision making, and I am such a very doubtful person in my decision making, but I am such an extrovert in my social environment. I love people. I like to be around people. And then also in my emotional side and in my emotion part, I am also a sanguine, which I love hugs and kisses and love of affirmations and everything that has to do with expressing love. And I never understood why I switch from one minute to the next. And that is because I have a blended temperament. Blended temperaments are sometimes could be very confusing, and some people may call it bipolar. And this is, I think, that when you do see a psychiatrist, or you get, it's always good to understand your temperament before you start taking medication, or before you even start taking it to another level. Why? Because maybe you're not understanding that you have a blended temperament, and you need to learn about your weaknesses and your strengths, and you need to learn how to overcome certain tendencies and certain learned behaviors that trigger your actions. I will be explaining each and every temperament in different videos, because there is so much to show you. There is so much to teach you about each and every individual temperament, that we could be here all day long just learning about one temperament alone, because there are so many needs that we need to go over. You will discover what your needs are. Knowing your temperament, you will also discover the difference between your wants and your needs. I have the need of receiving a lot of affection. In other words, I'm skin hungry. I love hugs. I love kisses. I love the physical touch. I love words of affirmations and compliments. And it's something that I need in my life. There are people that don't care about this, that you could do a task, you can clean their car when it's snowing, you can make them a nice plate of food, and this is exactly how they want to be loved. So it is very important for you to understand what your needs are, because you might be going through a situation with your spouse that he's constantly buying you gift and buying you gift and buying you gift, but he's never home or she's never home. And here you are filled with gifts, but there is no interaction. So that means that you're not meeting the needs that you have. There are people that love and need compliments or even recognition. This is a really tough one. There are people that needs to be recognized for everything that they do. And when their need is not being met, they're constantly acting in misbehavior or indirect behavior. And then you see them acting in a way that they're trying to get your attention, but they're not speaking it. So there are so many different things that I will be sharing and I will be speaking on each and every temperament that is just going to blow your mind. I really encourage you to please make it your deed to go onto my website, into newcreationscounseling.org. It's a 60-minute test that you will, it's a 60 question test that it'll take you about 20 minutes to take. And this can change your entire life. It will change not only your personal life, but it'll change your friendships, your relationships. It will change your perspective about so many things about yourself. And there's nothing more beautiful than knowing who you are and understanding yourself. Because when you understand yourself and you know who you truly are, then that's the moment that you learn to appreciate yourself. You learn to appreciate the people around you. And you start to discover new things and new potentials that you may have that you really never paid attention to because you were never taught. So everything that you are and everything that your heart desire, it's already prepared for you. All you need to do is sharpen those things, bring them out of you, sharpen every single little gift that you may have by removing all the fear, by removing every little bit of doubt that you may have because you never had a foundation, you never had that reassurance growing up, and it's never too late. You're never too old to get to know yourself and want better for yourself. So I truly encourage you to continue to follow my channel for more updates. I will be collaborating with more counselors to speak about everyday situation. If you have any question, please comment on my videos. Ask questions. You can reach me directly, email me. You can reach me in my website, and you can also find me on Instagram at New Creations NJ. And I hope to see you again and speak to you guys soon. Please, let's open up the floor for questions and let's just interact a little bit more to see what would you like to see, what would you like to speak about, what are you wondering to understand within yourself or everyone else around you. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Also like my videos, share them, and we'll see you next time.